Hello and welcome to the Disney Travel Secrets Podcast. If you're new to the show, we are your hosts, authors and travel agents, Rob and Kerri Stuart, coming to you from the Creating Magic Vacation studio right in Disney's backyard, Windermere, Florida. You're listening to episode number 414, original air date January 20th, 2025.
So, are you wondering what's the best Disney resort for your family? Well, then stay tuned because we are going to share our list that we have created from over a decade of booking thousands of families at Walt Disney World.
Yes, and I know we're mentioning it again. We do still have some spots for our Adventures by Disney trip to Disneyland, and that is September 28th. Please come join us.
Yeah, and we even have a payment plan option, so stay tuned.
That is nice. And here is the voice of Disney Travel Secrets. Take it away, Flash.
Welcome to Disney Travel Secrets with your host, Rob and Kerri Stuart, the founders of Creating Magic Vacations and authorized Disney vacation planner. They are still a very popular Disney podcast, and not just with their friends and family. Every Monday for over 5 years, they've been bringing you the best and most up-to-date information about all things Disney, the parks, the cruises, and also the luxury of Adventures by Disney. Make sure to follow them on Instagram, where they share content that's mentioned on this very show. Now, here comes the rope drop.
In Disney news, we just found out that the Disney Fantasy is going to go into dry dock, and the fall sailings, a lot of them have been affected.
I know, and it's always so disappointing to get that email saying your cruise has been canceled. But it's also a reminder as to why you want to get travel protection for all your trips, because even though Disney gave full refund, some of the travelers probably had some other components that were non-refundable that they did book. So it just gives you a little peace of mind.
And speaking of reminders, have you checked out the details we mentioned for our private Adventures by Disney trip? There's a link in the show description, and I reminded myself this week that we do have a financing option for your vacation if that would help you with the payments.
Yeah, for sure. And also, if maybe making a monthly payment so you can break that up is going to help it spread out the cost, then we can do that. And that option is interest-free. But either way, we already have a really great group who has signed up. We're super excited to fill the rest of the group. So why not come and join us?
I agree, they should. Today, we're diving into a big question. This is a question that I get a lot. What is the best Disney resort for a family? And we're also going to throw in some ideas for couples as well.
Yeah, and this is a really big question. And there are well over 20 different Disney resorts. That doesn't even include your off-property options. So it is confusing. We get that.
It is. And this is the episode you want to save your favorites so you can come back to it again when it comes to choosing your Walt Disney World resort.
Or you can let us do the work and save you all that stress and just work with us or one of our Creating Magic Vacations travel experts because we know Disney.
Yes. And as we always say, no two families are exactly alike. So you have your style of travel, you know your budget. More importantly, you know your family's likes and dislikes and their travel skills.
That is so true. And something to keep in mind is that Rob and I have personally stayed at every single one of the Disney resorts. So we know firsthand what the experience is at each one. They all have their pros, and there may be some features better for other families depending upon the resort you choose.
But no cons. There are no cons.
No you're
cons.
at Disney.
So if you didn't know, Walt Disney World breaks down their resorts into a few categories. The most well-known would be the value, moderate, and deluxe categories.
And then they also do have their Disney Vacation Club resorts. These are like the villas, the overwater bungalows, and even the cabins. And not just the ones at Fort Wilderness. We're talking the cabins over at Wilderness Lodge.
I know. Our friends Mike and Lee were down from Minnesota with their kids, and they invited us over to hang out. And the cabins there are really cool.
I like them better than the bungalows.
I got to say, I probably do too. Now, let's go ahead. Let's start with the value category. You probably know that our go-to is always what? Yes, Pop Century. And we've probably stayed there, I don't know, over 20 times.
I'm thinking more.
Okay,
yeah, for sure.
I was throwing a number out there. The big reason is the budget. That's where we really started going when we kind of left the Waldorf Astoria, which was our favorite.
Hey, we had great rates at Waldorf back in the day. They were cheaper than what you get Pop Century for these days. Okay, those days are over.
They are. We would get a 1-bedroom suite with a balcony at the Waldorf.
It was $189 a night,
which is about the same as Pop Century.
I know.
That is bad.
Okay.
So a big reason, again, is budget. And to keep this simple for you, especially since you may be planning maybe your first Disney trip, we're going to give you our top recommendation in each of those 3 categories.
Yeah. And so at Disney, like Rob said, you have the value, moderate, and deluxe resorts. So we're going to start with value, which is the more budget-friendly resort. And we definitely have a strong favorite in this category that we think is the best one for families if they need that budget option.
Of course we do. So again, like we mentioned, we like Pop Century. And the reason is, especially now with the Disney Skyliner in place, if you don't know what that is, I would classify it as a transportation system combined with a ride, because it's like you get an aerial gondola over places, you go over the main streets of Disney. I like Pop Century specifically from a non-budget standpoint because each area is a different decade, starting in the 70s, which is when I kind of grew up, the 70s and 80s and 90s. Actually, 70s and 80s are the best. All the stuff I grew up with. So they have all these shadow boxes in the registration area that you can see all the gadgets and things from, the 50s through the 90s. So I like it for that reason.
Yeah. And one of the things I love about Pop, especially for families with small kids, is they do have that over-the-top theming. And so that just kind of adds a little extra magic when the kids can see these huge giant, there's the dog. I can't think of it from 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah,
no.
The dog. I don't know.
No, it wasn't. I can't. Oh, it left my brain.
And we clearly did not have this
Lady
in our
and the
notes.
Tramp? Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Pop Century though, the Skyliner though is a game changer if you're going to be staying at a value resort, because now you can quickly get on there and get to 2 of the parks, so you can avoid the buses, which if you have strollers, and again, if they are a single stroller, you can't do a double wide without folding it up on the Skyliner. But that just makes a huge, huge difference. Now, if you do have a family where there are 5 or more of you, you may want to think about Art of Animation and those family suites.
So some people say, well, why don't I just go to Art of Animation and Little Mermaid? The rooms are exactly the same as Pop, except they're the farthest away, so you will have a longer walk to get to the Skyliner. The best reason to stay at Art of Animation is you have 5 or maybe 5 or 6 people, and then you want to get one of those family suites. With just the 2 of us, we stayed in the Cars family suites, which is my personal favorite.
Yeah, and the big game changer there is the number of bathrooms, because those family suites do have 2 bathrooms, and sometimes that makes it easier for getting ready in the morning as opposed to just the single bathroom in the other value resort.
You're right. So it'll sleep up to 6. You have the 2 full bathrooms, also larger refrigerator and a microwave. So you can really cook more in those rooms, or heat
it's like a
stuff
little
up.
kitchenette. Yeah.
It is a kitchenette, yes.
So let's move on to the moderate category. And this one, you do have some great options for families, but there is one that is a big standout. But I do have a backup for a very specific reason. And the one that we like the best for families is Caribbean Beach. And the reason why?
The Skyliner.
It
really is. They have their own Skyliner station there. If you've been listening to us for, probably more than a couple years at least, or maybe not, that our go-to, if we're going to go, we're going to stay at French Quarter. It's one of the smallest, I think it is the smallest resort on all of Walt Disney World property. And it's quiet. You can take a boat on the Sassagoula River over to Disney Springs. That's our go-to. However, if you're only coming down maybe once a year, every other year, Caribbean Beach is a great option because specifically of the Skyliner. Plus, it's a big resort and they have a lot of food options.
Yeah. And then when you do upgrade to the moderate category, your rooms are going to be a little bit bigger. And now you have 2 sinks in your bathroom. You still only have 1 bathroom, but you do have 2 sinks. So kind of helps people get ready at the same time.
One thing to keep in mind, though, they do not have elevators. So if you're like, French Quarter, they have elevators. Caribbean Beach does not. If you do have any challenges with stairs, whether it's a stroller, an ECV, whatever it may be, make sure you get the first floor.
Yeah, very important. So if that is an issue though, and you still want to stay in a moderate, one that you may want to consider is Coronado Springs. I really do like that one. Well, you tell them.
Well, because all the moderates, even Coronado Springs, other than the part we're about to talk about, they're basically, you have an outdoor hallway, just like the value resorts. Mm-hmm. The game changer is the tower over at Coronado Springs, which has interior hallways. And I think the best concierge level, the club level, in all of Walt Disney World. This is where a lot of the big conventions go. So they have to have a lot of restaurant options. So if you get 500 people leaving a conference for lunch, you better have enough places for them to eat. And one of the best restaurants is the Three Bridges. Is it Bar and Grill? Three Bridges?
Yeah, it's just like an outdoor. It's pretty cool.
It is.
Great food. Yeah. Okay, the deluxe category is my favorite. And for this one, when deciding what's going to be the best for your family, we're going to kind of split it up. So if your main goal, you're going to be spending a ton of time at Magic Kingdom, and let's say you do have a stroller, any of the Magic Kingdom monorail loop resorts are going to be your best choice. And here's why. Over at Polynesian, you have that beautiful sandy beach, great for little kids to run around in. Then you have the Grand Floridian, which you can't go wrong there. You can also walk from the Grand to Magic Kingdom.
That is something within the last couple of years is they have that walkway to go from Grand Floridian over to MK. Also, a really short walk is Contemporary over to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, we book a lot of families at Contemporary or over at Bay Lake Tower solely because of just at the end of the day, leaving Magic Kingdom, they can just walk right home. So totally worth it. Now for the Deluxe, if you have maybe more teenagers or if your main goal is going to be more EPCOT and Hollywood Studios, then we would definitely recommend one of the EPCOT area Deluxe resorts.
And that's where I like to stay because you have boardwalk on one side and then on the other side of the lake, you have yacht and beach club. All three easy walking distance to the International Gateway entrance at the back part of EPCOT. And the other thing is you have water taxi transportation from your hotel to either EPCOT or Hollywood Studios. Now think about this. If you're there and you're watching the EPCOT fireworks and all of a sudden they're over, you do not want to take that long walk to the front of the park, and you definitely don't want to go stand in one of the longest lines in history, and that is to get back on the Skyliner after the EPCOT show. How nice would it be just to walk right back past all those crowds right to your hotel?
Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference. And if your family is the type where you like lower crowds and you absolutely will be hanging out late in the parks, you want to stay at a Deluxe resort because they do have those extended evening hours. So something that I think makes total sense if that is your family style. Now, if you're going to be going to bed early and there's no way anybody would be up that late, then that little feature doesn't really matter.
I would say also when people are choosing a resort, a lot of times what they take into consideration is, okay, I want to be close because we're going to rope drop. What they don't take into consideration is, okay, at the end of the night, again, EPCOT or MK, wow, it's going to be crazy getting out of there. So my favorite place to stay, I love Boardwalk. If we're going to stay on the monorail loop, I would say probably Grand Floridian.
Yeah, I like the Grand.
Over Poly or Contemporary.
Yeah. And I mean, there's pros and cons to every resort, but this gives you kind of a high level of things to look for when considering.
Okay, but what if they have a ton of Marriott points?
Well,
then
they should go stay at the Swan and Dolphin. That's pretty simple.
Which is also on the water taxi system between EPCOT and Hollywood.
Yeah. So let's narrow down the things for you to think about and consider when choosing the best resort for your family. So number one is location. And this really does come down to the transportation. If you want to be close to Magic Kingdom, well, that's going to kind of help make your decision. Do you want to be on the Skyliner? That's going to make your decision.
Well, and the Skyliner is really something that is, it seems so new to us, but it's been around for about 6 years. And that is a game changer. And I was talking to someone the other day and they said, okay, we want a moderate and we want the Skyliner. Great. That's a very easy decision. We'll put you over Caribbean Beach.
Yeah. Or if you're somebody who you like to walk to the parks, that will help make your decision for you. So keep transportation and location in mind.
Well, something else to consider is, we'll call it the room configuration, which is basically how many people do you have going? Is it a large family? Are you going to need more than one room? And here's the big one. How many bathrooms are you going to need?
Yeah. And a big one is, do you want an inside hallway? Because
yes, I do. Yes,
some people may not like that motel feel where you're opening up the door to the outside and that just feels weird. But a big one, and I always ask this is especially as your family is growing older and maybe you have 2 teens and you have brother and sister and everybody needs their own bed. That is something to consider as well, because it will make a difference in what's the best resort for your family.
Also, again, when we're talking about the Deluxe resorts or the Tower at Coronado Springs, you have an interior hallway. Really would like to have on these cold Florida mornings in January.
I know. I'm like, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing a sweater. It is freezing here in Florida.
I'm just wearing my typical uniform and Disney t-shirt.
Okay. Okay. Another big thing to consider are the pools and the recreation. So every resort is going to have the movies under the stars. They're all going to do the different activities. But here's a couple of questions to ask yourself.
From the pool options, do you want a slide at the pool? Does that really make any difference? or maybe you want a hot tub, something else to consider.
Yeah, that will definitely narrow down your options. The other one that will definitely narrow it down for you is your dining and bar and coffee options, because they are not the same between value all the way up to deluxe.
Well, any of the values, you don't really have a choice. It's a food court.
It's a food court and then a pool bar. But at the moderates, they tend to have a more elevated bar. It's usually the pool bar, though.
Yeah.
Some of them do have an inside bar as well. And a big one is at the deluxe resorts, there usually is a place you can get some specialty coffee. And so if you're staying at a deluxe, you can avoid that long line at Starbucks in the park.
That always kills me.
I know.
Of course, we know that one of the big deciding factors, of course, is the price. And it's going to range for, high 100s to low 200s starting for the values, in the 200s to 300s for moderates. And the deluxes are probably going to be $500 or $600 a night minimum.
If you get a good deal.
600 or 700.
Yeah.
And that is during the slow season. Let's talk about some of the special features that you might be looking for your vacation.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they'll say, hey, I want to stay at that place where I can feed the giraffes off my balcony. Spoiler alert. You can't do that, but you can see them.
Unless you have like a full head of lettuce and a really powerful throwing arm.
I don't think they're going to let you do that.
Do not do that.
Do not do that.
Do not do that.
But things like, do you want to have fireworks view from your room? Or are you going for something that's more of like a themed room for kids, like something over in the art of animation? Or does your family want to enjoy club level?
And never have to worry about breakfast or snacks.
Yeah, you get all the sodas and water you want, Mickey bars. It's fantastic. So there's definitely some cool features. There are some resorts that will have water views, and then you have fireworks views. And, here's like some examples.
Let me give you one thing to never request. Never request pool view. There's no reason you want to have a room that faces the pool, because it's always going to be noisy.
Always. And those are some things to take a look at, because there are some preferred rooms at resorts, which usually means closer to the main building. And then things like at Contemporary, you have everything from theme park view down to garden wing. And
we do not stay in garden wing. That is, I would say, I think it's a lot of it could be just kind of mental, kind of a mindset. It is a lot farther walk. Like our conference this year is a Contemporary in
the garden wing. Our agents need to experience it, though.
Yes, it's about the experience. We happen to be, we're in a 2-bedroom suite in the tower.
Yeah. So those are little things that maybe you don't know about. And we hope that this helps you make your decision for your trip. But of course, if you want someone to learn about your family's needs and
your travel style.
Yes. And then help match you to the right resort, definitely reach out to us or one of our Creating Magic Vacations travel advisors.
We do appreciate you supporting our show and booking your trips with us or one of our agents. We hope we are able to help add a little more magic to your Disney vacations.
And if you would like the complete guide, so you kind of get the cliff notes from this show, we have an exclusive special little, what would you call it? A report?
It's basically a guide. A guide to, the differences about the different resorts. That link is only exclusively on our YouTube channel. So check out Disney Travel Secrets on YouTube and look at this episode number 414. Until next time, have a magical day.
We hope to see you real soon.